I call the honourable member for Wannon.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. My question is to the Acting Minister for Employment. Will the minister inform the House why transparency in the union movement is urgently needed? What action is the government taking to provide it, particularly in my own state of Victoria?
Good question. Good question.
I call the Acting Minister for Employment.
Well, thank you, Madam Speaker, and I thank the member for Wannon for his question. Madam Speaker, before the startling revelations that we are seeing in the Royal Commission to Trade Union Corruption recently, the government had already moved to try and ensure transparency in the union movement and to protect honest union workers and organisers by introducing the Registered Organisations Commission and to bring back the Australian Building and Construction Commission, both of which I'm unfortunately have to inform the House are being stopped in the Senate by the opposition, by this Leader of the Opposition. But the government is even more deeply concerned about the most recent revelations in the Trade Union Royal Commission, Madam Speaker. The House will remember the case of Clean Event, which we discussed last time we met. In that case, Clean Event provided $75,000 to the Australian Workers' Union in exchange for selling workers down the river to the tune of $6 million in labour costs that they would otherwise have received and the scrapping of their penalty rates. But even more sinister, Madam Speaker, even more sinister is the case of Douglas Site Services that we heard about today in the newspapers. In that case, the AWU sought the same arrangement that they'd had with Clean Event, and Douglas Site Services refused to sign that EBA, that arrangement with the AWU, and so the AWU refused to sign the EBA into law, and Douglas Site Services went out of business. What? Douglas Site Services went out of business because of an act of extortion by the Australian Workers' Union, which the Douglas Site Services refused to accede to. And we know that the Leader of the Opposition has some serious questions to answer, Madam Speaker, because he, in an email sent on March 2nd, 2006 by John Paul Blandthorne to Douglas Site Services, he wrote, "I've spoken to Bill Shorten and he's keen to do a deal, but is hoping you may be able to move a little closer to Clean Event rates, Madam Speaker." And later, even worse, admittedly after the Leader of the Opposition had left the AWU, John Blandthorne wrote again to Mr Hunter saying, "As discussed, Caesar Mellon will only sign if we are guaranteed membership through some arrangement." Madam Speaker. Now, the Leader of the Opposition needs to explain what he knew and when of these emails to Douglas Site Services, Madam Speaker, and until he does—
The member for Perth on a point of order.
Point of order about the very process of a Royal Commission which has been perverted by you.
The Minister has the call.
In the seconds remaining, Madam Speaker, the government wants to help the Leader of the Opposition to make sure his name is clear.